Hello and welcome. This is another Confessions podcast. It's not just any Confessions podcast, but all the confessions that we're about to do have one digital radio. It's not just one, but two. One for yourself, one for a friend, or two for friends, or two for yourself. So many permutations. So what we've done is we've got some Christmas gift confessions. We have a creepy Christmas callback. We have a hovering hairy head, a clumping cow-pack calamity, and some festive family fakery. Here it all is. I don't think I've ever done a prize giveaway confession, but we're doing Christmas confessions, and I've asked you to send in any Christmas-related tales, and in your hundreds you've done that. And over the weekend, we've read them all.
Wow. How many?
Well, I was sent about 220.
Wow.
220 to read over the weekend. So anyway,
it's your homework.
Can I just say, a lot of them stood no chance ever.
Laxatives in the Christmas pud.
What was it that made you think that was going to get anywhere near the radio?
They amused you. They amused you.
For heaven's sake.
Excellent.
Anyway, each one that gets read out wins 2 digital radios. That's one for you and one for someone else. Mind you, can give them both away if you want, or you can keep them both and have one in the kitchen. 2? Yeah.
Wow.
One up from one.
That's
one
very,
down
that's
from
very
3.
generous, very generous.
Ian in Stockton-on-Tees. Ian, it's you. Dear Santa, Simon and the Christmas Elves, I'm writing this confession on behalf of Beverly, my wife, and mother to 2 lovely girls, Amy and Hannah. The year is 2002, and our daughter Amy had just turned 3 and was at that stage where she was coming to understand what Christmas means to the under 5s. Lots of presents and being spoilt rotten. She'd been through the catalogue, seen every TV advert and visited every store, each of which contained a dozen things that she wanted, no needed. I asked her who she thought would bring her all these gifts, and she looked at me slightly puzzled. It's Santa. Didn't you know that, Daddy?
Of course.
And how does he know what to bring? I asked her. I write him a letter, Mummy posts it to the North Pole, he brings me everything.
And I mean everything.
Yeah. But only if you're good, I said. Eh? She says.
Eh?
Santa only gives presents to those who've been good. Every time you're naughty, he crosses one present off your list.
Oh.
Well, that's not fair, she says. What if I'm just a little naughty? Can't he just tell me off? And how does he know when I'm being naughty? This mischievous child was starting to panic. Well, me or Mummy or Nana will ring him.
Oh.
I've got his mobile number. All parents have. But you have to tell him what you did and what your punishment should be so that you learn what you did was wrong. Well, the eyes were wide at this point. The mouth was open and nothing more was said. The letter was written and posted, and the days went by, Amy counting them down with a daily chocolate treat from her advent calendar. As Christmas Day grew nearer, Amy's excitement increased. She had been good, but there had been a couple of occasions where we had to phone Santa. The call would go straight to voicemail, so Amy dutifully left messages telling Santa of her misdemeanour and suggesting that probably a telling off from Mummy or Daddy would suffice, that there was no need at all to cancel one of her presents. But if he had to, could it be the pullover that Nana always knits for her because she wasn't that bothered? On the 22nd or 23rd, after being bathed and dressed in her pyjamas and dressing gown, Amy came down the stairs and went into the kitchen. "Daddy, it's not there!" came the cry. "What's not there?" I asked. "My chocolate in the calendar."
Oh.
"No, it must be. You probably just can't find the number, that's all." In she came, carrying a battered and torn advent calendar. Beverly, my wife, piped up with, perhaps the dogs.
Yeah.
Perhaps the dogs have eaten
yes.
it. Looks like they've had it. It's always falling off the shelf. I looked across and I saw my wife's shifty look, and it became obvious who the culprit was. "No," I said, "it doesn't look like the dogs have had it. I think someone's taken it for themselves, and it can't have been me because you know I don't like chocolate," I said. "So who else could it have been?" Ooh. Amy thought for a moment. "Mummy!" she exclaimed. "It was you!" The guilty look and the blushing face had given her away. Enjoying this parental one-upmanship, I said to Amy, "Well, Mummy's been very naughty. Do you think she should be punished?" "Yes, she has to tell Santa." With this, she ran out of the room, returning a few moments later with her mum's phone. "I've phoned Santa, and he says you have to leave a message." Beverly said, what do I say?" Amy thought for a moment. "Tell him you've been very naughty and you should have your bottom smacked."
Oh, no.
Wow, she's taken this very seriously and suggested in her mind the ultimate punishment. "Can't I just say I'm really sorry?" whined Beverly. "No, tell him," said Amy, thrusting the phone at her. Beverly duly took the phone and in a suitably contrite voice told Santa she'd been a very naughty girl and needed her bottom smacked. Satisfied with this and the supply of replacement chocolate, Amy eventually fell asleep and was put to bed. We settled down in front of the TV with a glass of wine.
Just the one.
Yeah. We'd been sat dozing for about an hour when the phone rang. Bev answered it and immediately started spluttering. No, I don't think... No, you can't have my address.
You know what's happened, don't you? You know what's happened.
All the while getting redder and redder and more flustered. She then hung up. I looked at her, bemused at what had gone on. Who was that and what did they want? I asked. Nobody, never mind.
Yes.
No, tell me, I said, wondering what had caused her to turn the colour of holly berries. It was Santa. He wanted to know what I'd done to be a naughty girl and when could he come round. He said I'd left a message.
Oh, dear.
To say we were gobsmacked was an understatement. It would appear that Amy had pressed random buttons on the phone.
Oh, no!
And through sheer chance connected with a genuine number. Or was it chance? Could it have been payback for a mother who steals her children's chocolate treat? I ask, on my wife's behalf, for forgiveness from the anonymous man who had thought he got an early Christmas present, and, of course, from Santa for even suggesting that he would punish a child or their mother. Yours, Ian.
Oh.
Well, there you go. It's a prize-winning confession. Double digital radio. And, yes, it's a very interesting idea. Anyway, so you just have to be very careful. So you start lying to your kids and see what happens.
Even more awful, it could have been one of the a work contact in her mother's phone book.
Yes.
Who knows?
Who could have seen who it was who was calling? Can you imagine that?
We think it was random.
We think it was random. I want to know, what was the number that they were calling before to get hold of Santa?
He was dialing his own number. And apparently if you dial your own number...
Is that right? OK, because I was going to ask for Santa's number, because it's a very useful number to have, actually. If anyone's got it, I'd love it. I don't know, that was hilarious. Very, very funny, and I can see why you chose it. Completely forgiven.
Yeah, I forgive.
Ian, OK, I haven't asked you yet, Deadly.
Oh, sorry.
OK, now Deadly.
I forgive.
OK,
Yeah.
thanks very much.
It's a good one. It's brilliant. It's Santa-based. We love it.
Well, that was worth keeping you on for, wasn't
I'm
it?
sorry. It was very good. Very good story.
Radio personality
I want
of
to
the
find
year.
out. Yeah, no, I want to find out who Santa was. Really, that's what I want to know.
OK, now let's try
Get the
Brother
bottom of
Matthew.
Well done. What a great start to the week. If we're giving away prizes, let's start with the big one. So, big fan of this one. I'm assuming, though, that the big difference between this week and every other week when we do confessions is that we've not changed the names. So it is actually Beverly who's made the call.
It's not? Have we changed the name?
We've changed the name,
we
have
haven't
we?
changed the name.
We haven't changed the name.
No, these are the real...
Even better.
Yes.
Have we got the number?
So, yes. So, for that reason, I am going to forgive. Apart from the fact that I love the idea that the phone call is what makes it. Well done.
Prize-winning confession. Thank you very much indeed for all the Christmas confessions. Everyone that gets read out gets 2 digital radios.
Woo!
Because that's how generous we're feeling. This comes from D, so it's just the letter D, so it's still anonymous. Father Simon and the Festive Collective, my first job was as a shop assistant in an independent record shop in a busy town centre. For a young 17-year-old, it was a much-coveted role as we got to hear all the latest releases and to play our favourite records all day long, Human League being one of mine. We also became familiar with the local DJs, including one who later went on to find fame on Radio 2 and got invited to all the best bars and clubs. Now,
We were trying to work out who that might have been.
I don't think it's me.
No,
That's
and
all
it's not me either. Matt, is it you?
No, it's not me.
I'm not a DJ.
The record shop
you
was...
could be.
The record shop was situated on the first floor, with the gentlemen's outfitters being on the ground floor. The men's shop downstairs hired mainly young men, whilst upstairs we were all young ladies. This caused a great deal of gossiping, flirting, and general good-humoured japing. There was a second floor to the building, and this was used by both shops as storage and for putting together displays for the windows which overlooked the busy main street below. There was a popular jewellery shop to the left and a busy tea room to the right.
Dudley's drawn a
I've got a
floor
map.
plan.
I've got a map of this. I've got a map.
This is very
I've got a map.
important. That's good.
Yeah.
So you got the record store,
Yeah.
gentlemen's
In the middle,
outfitters.
And then-
outfitters below, and storage above.
That's right. Jewellery shop to the left, tea room to the right. As long as it's all clear now.
Oh, yeah.
During Christmas week, both shops were ridiculously busy, and at the end of the day, there was a great deal of restocking that had to take place. We girls would go upstairs to get cassette boxes, remember them, posters and T-shirts to bring back down. The chaps downstairs brought down ties, shirts, trousers, that kind of thing. Each time the boys went upstairs, they arranged the spare mannequins on the floor above into adult-only poses for the amusement of us girls, and every night when we went upstairs, we were presented with a different tableau.
Hello.
Different tableau. Different times.
Different. 1982 is what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had one mannequin. We called him Julian, and as it was the 80s, he was styled like a punk rocker. His hair was shaped like a Mohican, and he had heavy eyeliner and wore a studded collar. Julian was
Julian Coat, maybe. Actually, not the Mohican. No. Anyway, sorry.
Thanks for the intervention. Okay. Julian was currently sitting out the Christmas period in the store cupboard due to the window display being more snow and sleigh bells than spitting and swearing. My friend and I really felt the need to get even with the boys downstairs for their ever more adult mannequin tableaus, and so we hatched a plan. One lunchtime, we took Julian out of the store cupboard and removed his head. We then took it in turns to make him up using lipstick and eyeliner, and then we put on some scars and some blood covering his face and neck. It was really quite disgusting and rather impressive. Once the shop had started to quieten down, we went up the back stairs to the storeroom, rescued the severed head, and tied a line I never thought I'd say in a confession, and tied a piece of the fishing line that's used in window displays to the top of Julian's head. When it was really dark, just before the shop closed, we went upstairs as usual to bring down more stock. Knowing the boys were in the window on the ground floor, we opened the sash windows of the storeroom on the second floor and slowly lowered Julian's severed head down to street level, intending to bump it against the glass and give the boys a fright.
Yes.
We lowered Mannequin's head slowly past the record shop window and then down further. What we didn't notice in our giggly, revenge-focused state was the lovely young couple browsing the engagement rings in the jeweller's, the window next door. If you consult your map.
I'm moving the jeweller's is there. Look, there we go.
Just there.
Yes.
As Julian's head reached the correct height, we bumped it on the window. The young lady, who had been in a sparkly diamond ring-type reverie, turned at the sound of the noise and found the severed, manically grinning, bloody head of Julian just inches from her own. She gave, obviously, a blood-curdling scream and ran off down the road, boyfriend, nay fiancé, in hot pursuit. Come back. We quickly reeled in the head up to our office, but due to our haste, the head bumped and banged on the outside of the building, including against the record shop window, scaring and scarring for life a number of elderly folk who were innocently browsing the Mario Lanza collection, and a couple of heavy rockers who obviously thought they'd had one too many drink at lunchtime. We stuffed the head into a nearby box and scooted down the back stairs as quickly as possible. Our manager had raced up the main stairs, and by the time she returned, having found nothing upstairs untoward, we were listening intently to the hysterical account of the happenings from some of the customers, shaking our heads sadly and oohing and ahhing in all the right places. For weeks after, the manager blamed the infantile idiots of the record store downstairs for the prank we never let on, happy to let the rockers take the blame. So, Father Simon, I seek forgiveness, not from the chaps downstairs, who quickly put two and two together but made a very clear, decisive four. Their practical jokes also got considerably worse when Julian's studded belts, chains and chokers appeared in the spring, but from the young couple whose special evening was unfortunately interrupted, and who knows, maybe their relationship in tatters because of Julian's severed head. I also seek forgiveness from the opera-loving customers in the record store who got a terrible fright in the Christmas of 1981. Oh, there you go. We're dating it right at the end.
Oh, excellent.
It's 81, not 1982. 1 year out.
Yes, very.
Thank you,
very
Ken.
good.
That was the Ken bit.
Yes. Very good.
Well, it's the severed head confession. Who'd have thought? How seasonal could this be? What do you think, Sister Rebecca?
Severed.
Yeah, sorry. How is it seasonal?
It was Christmas.
It was Christmas.
It was just.
Everybody
It
does
took
that.
place at Christmas.
It took place.
Okay, right.
It's Christmas week. They're very busy.
Like Die Hard as a Christmas movie because it happens at Christmas.
That made me quite nostalgic about record shops and high
cassettes.
streets in the 80s and cassettes and everything.
It was lovely. It was a lovely picture, yeah.
And working in record shops. So, no, I thought that was a great tale. It was really well written, very funny, and it was a good jape. I love a good jape. And it's a shame about the woman who got scared off, but I'm sure her fiancé chased her and got her back. So, yes, I'm going to forgive.
Forgive, and there's a reference to the Mario Lanza collection for you, Deadly, there.
Yeah, that was very nice. Amusing, I thought, but not in the best of taste. So I'm not going to forgive. I'm not going to forgive. Even though it's Christmas, I'm not going to
He's
forgive.
up to stakes,
You can't
everybody.
go round swinging Seven heads in the streets of Great Britain. It's not on.
Brother Matthew.
Putting mannequins in inappropriate poses is never not funny. It's always hilarious. However,
Yes.
all of this, putting them in funny poses and then the girls deciding to sever the head, it's flirting turned up to 11. Get a room already. No one else is interested, so I am not going to forgive
Get a room?
because of that. Yeah. Oh, look at me. Have you seen what I've done with the mannequin? Oh, look at me with the head. Ooh. So, no.
There's another prize winner, which comes from the muck spreader of Shaw Prior. It's quite specific. That's how it's signed. Thank you, muck spreader. Dear Father Simon and the forgiving festive few. Some years ago, my wife, let's call her Annie, and our 2 small sons sold up and moved out west to the wilds of Dartmoor. We bought an old house that needed, amongst considerable TLC, a brand new roof. Needless to say, this left us somewhat short of ready cash. So times were hard, and amidst the somewhat frugal plans for Christmas, our wonderful neighbours, who owned a beautiful herd of South Devon cows, clearly took pity on us and generally offered us a Norwegian fir tree that was one of many lining their drive leading to their farm. How generous and kind of you, I said. Well, that's all right, said Sally, the farmer's daughter. Just as long as you cut it and collect it yourself, you can have whichever one you like. Thank you very much indeed. I'll be over tomorrow afternoon. Now, tomorrow, you need to know, was Christmas Eve. We're pretty old-fashioned around here about when the trees go up. Now, being a man, I returned from my only shopping expedition of the year as the sun set. Excitement was at fever pitch as I headed off over the garden bank with a saw in my hand, heading into the darkness. Will you get on with it? Says my wife. Annie, we're calling her.
Yeah.
I've got the vicar and half the village turning up for drinks in 2 hours' time, and I want that blinking tree in and decorated by 5:30 at the latest. This is the last-minute advice as the lights of the house faded into the Dartmoor mist as it closed around me. Well, charming, I thought, as I found a tree, fought my way under the lower branches and sawed through the trunk. Timber! I cried, to no one in particular, as I was all alone.
That was good.
Or was I alone?
Oh.
As the tree fell, I became aware of many pairs of eyes looking at me and the sound of heavy breathing. It was Malcolm's prized Devon cows, out for a bit of Christmas sport, playing Scare the Human, and proving pretty good at it, too. Go away, you naughty cows, I said, or similar words. This was a long time ago, different times. And off I trudged, dragging a rather heavy tree single-handedly through a very frisky herd of heifers, wishing them good tidings as I went. This was hard work. Up over the wall I laboured, across the lawn to the front door. It was a tight fit through the door, on into the narrow corridor. Deadly's drawing a map again.
Yeah. This is all. Well, it's a very heavy tree.
On into the narrow corridor, and then right into the drawing room, past the sofa and piano.
Come on.
Right into the drawing room. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you caught
By
up?
Is it near the fire?
And finally into that pesky stand thing that only just takes the weight when the tree was finally hoisted into the vertical.
Excellent.
What a result. There was exactly enough room to get the fairy onto the top. Perfection. And I had the lowest carbon Christmas tree in the history of mankind. I had reason to be jolly pleased with myself. Or so I thought. Come hither and behold the miracle of God's benevolence, I shout to the family, in a slightly pompous way.
Yes.
The boys appeared and looked at me in a funny way.
Oh.
Gosh, that looks nice, said Annie as she breezed in from the kitchen carrying a plate of small eats for the imminent arrival of our jolly vicar and the Christmas throng. And there was a pause. What's that smell? I froze. She was right, there was a smell. Yeah, Dad. And what's that brown stuff on the door?
Oh.
And the sofa?
How graphic.
And the piano?
Oh, no.
And all down the corridor? And on the carpet? And on Grandma? It's cow poo!
Shouldn't laugh.
Well, dear Father Simon, I was indeed up to my neck in it this time. Ermintrude and her smelly mates had obviously been more excited than I thought, and had laid a neat trail of pats in my path. A number of things were then pointed out to me. I could have done this in daylight had I been organised enough to do my shopping on any day, except today. Christmas Eve is the most stressful day of the year for mothers. It was my idea to ask the blinking vicar and all his mates in from the pub for a drink on the very same day, and it was now my duty to take the tree back outside, spray off all the brown stuff, drag it back in, re-erect it, decorate it, and clean all the rest of the brown stuff off the walls, off the carpets, off the sofa, off the piano, off Grandma, and off the curtains. You've got 20 minutes. Failure was not an option. I have never moved so fast in my entire life. Father Simon, in the most venerable brother and sisterhood, I seek forgiveness for these most heinous of crimes, being a bloke, and, well, causing what I can now see some 15 years later was something of a challenge to Annie's sense of Yuletide humour. Could I please state that I do not seek forgiveness from the boys? They found it and still do incredibly funny and have been relating the story as a means of dropping me in it with their mother when it has been necessary to discredit me for their own evil deeds. And most effective they have been too. With kind regards and limited expectations for forgiveness, the muck spreader of Shaw Prior. Anyway, well done, Muck Spreader. It's a double radio winner, double digital radio award winner. But let's see if you get any forgiveness, because that's the most important thing, Sister Rebecca.
I feel really sorry for him because he was only trying to be heroic and doing the Christmas shopping and getting a tree
and
on
how many
on
people
Christmas
actually
Eve.
chop down their own tree on Christmas Eve?
Exactly, in the dark
What a
as
guy.
well. And, you know, he braved all those scary cows. He didn't realise there was cow poo all around him. I think it's pretty impressive that he managed to get it all off in however long it
20
was.
minutes.
20 minutes, there you go.
Did he achieve that? Did he do it in 20 minutes?
Well, he says,
It didn't say that he
Good
didn't.
for him. No, it's good. No, it's good if
and
he
it's
did.
not his fault. He's a bloke. So I think I forgive.
that's,
Wow.
that's very magnanimous of you.
From a woman, that's good.
What are you saying there, Dan?
I'm going to forgive as well, actually. Yeah, he hadn't meant to. Muck spread. All of Shaw Prior on Dartmoor. No, absolutely. Well done him. Well done him. A solution was offered. He was busy earlier. He couldn't do it earlier. He was busy.
Okay.
So, you know, a solution was offered, 20 minutes, and he achieved it, including Grandma.
Brother Matthew.
We're in Terry and June territory here,
Yes.
aren't we? Where it's sort of 70s sitcom, different times. 70s sitcom with, the vicar's coming round and here's me covering Grandma in cow poo with putting the tree up at the last minute. It's his fault, isn't it? What are you doing putting your tree up on Christmas Eve? No one puts a tree up on Christmas Eve. It's gone up at
but yours
least
goes up in
2 or 3
November.
weeks before.
It's
It's already up.
it's a
his own
Southwest
fault.
tradition.
What? Is there hardly any point? You're only just putting it up. You have to take it down again. So not forgiven because you're far too tardy with your tree.
What, because it went up on Christmas Eve?
Yes,
It's
yes.
a Southwest tradition, that.
No.
Southwest
No,
It's the
it's
12
not.
days of Christmas.
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
that.
They do put it up on Christmas Eve in certain countries, don't
Yeah,
they?
yeah,
They get
yeah.
the priest to come and
And
bless
they
the
are
tree.
wrong.
And
They
you're
are
having a go.
wrong
You're
to
having
put
a
it
go
up.
at foreigners.
Wrong
And
to put it up on
stays up.
Christmas Eve.
It stays up till the 5th or 6th
Exactly.
of January.
Anyway, this could go on for a while.
Yes.
I like a sheepdog, an old English sheepdog, I think, who just curled up in the corner, and then Matt can take him home.
I am not taking the dog home.
Can you imagine every day?
This is definitely going to be a thing.
transport.
All this week and next week we have digital radio giveaway for the confession, so each Christmas confession wins stuff.